Imagine boarding a flight that travels across the entire planet. Your plane crosses oceans, deserts, mountains, and massive cities. But there is one place on Earth where commercial airplanes almost never go. An entire continent that most flights avoid. Antarctica. But here's the interesting part. Airplanes actually can fly over Antarctica. So why don't airlines do it? Is it the freezing temperatures? The dangerous weather? Or something else entirely? The answer is more surprising than most people think. To understand it, we need to start with geography. Antarctica is the most isolated continent on Earth. It sits at the very bottom of the planet, surrounded by thousands of kilometers of freezing ocean. Unlike every other continent, Antarctica has no cities, no permanente population, and almost no infrastructure. The only people who stay there are scientists working in research stations, and most of them stay only temporarily. Because of this, Antarctica has almost no airports, and that creates a serious problem for commercial flights. When airplanes travel long distances, they must always stay within reach of emergency airports. This is a critical aviation safety rule. If something goes wrong during a flight, the plane must be able to land as quickly as possible. For example, imagine an engine failure or a sudden medical emergency. In those situations, pilots must divert to the nearest airport immediately. But over Antarctica, there are almost no proper airports available. Most runways on the continent are simply packed ice or snow. They're designed for small research aircraft, not large passenger jets carrying hundreds of passengers. If an emergency happened over the middle of Antarctica, the nearest suitable airport could be thousands of kilometers away. For airlines, that level of risk is simply too high. But safety rules are not the only challenge. Antarctica also has some of the harshest weather conditions on Earth. Temperatures can drop below -80 degrees Celsius. At those temperatures, aircraft systems can face serious challenges. Fuel becomes thicker, hydraulic systems respond more slowly, and powerful Antarctic winds can create severe turbulence. Blizzards can appear suddenly, reducing visibility to almost zero. Even for modern aircraft, these conditions are far from ideal. There's also another challenge near the South Pole: navigation. Most aircraft rely partly on magnetic compasses to determine direction. But near the poles, Earth's magnetic field behaves differently. This can make compass readings less reliable. Modern airplanes now rely heavily on satellite navigation systems, which solve much of this problem. But airlines still prefer routes where navigation is simpler and safer. However, the biggest reason airplanes rarely fly over Antarctica is actually much simpler. There is almost no demand. Airlines design routes based on where passengers want to travel. Major flight paths connect cities like New York, London, Dubai, Tokyo, and Singapore. These routes naturally pass over populated continents and busy travel corridors. Antarctica has no permanent population. Very few tourists visit, and almost no commercial travel demand exists. Flying directly over Antarctica rarely saves time for airlines. Instead, planes follow routes that pass closer to airports and populated regions. So technically, airplanes can fly over Antarctica. And occasionally, research aircraft and specialized flights do operate there. But because of the lack of airports, extreme weather conditions, navigation challenges, and low passenger demand, commercial airlines almost always choose safer routes. Even in today's highly connected world, Antarctica remains one of the few places where regular commercial flights are extremely rare. And that's why most airplanes simply avoid flying over the frozen continent at the bottom of the Earth. If you found this interesting, there are many other strange facts about aviation that most passengers never notice. For example, why airplane windows are always round, why planes fly at around 35,000 feet, and why pilots say the word rotate during takeoff. But those are stories for another video.